In this video, I'm looking at questions 3 and 4 from the 13.2. So we're still working with installment loans, but 3 and 4 ask for something different than question number 2. This one asks for the monthly payment and then the actual cost of the purchase, the total cost of the purchase. So on both of these, I'm going to be doing the monthly payment, and then they want the total cost of the purchase. So one of the harder things is making sure you're answering the question that you're being asked. Okay. All right, so on this one, we know that the furniture and appliances she needs are $5,400. She's able to pay $1,100 now. She's paying $1,100 down, means she's making a down payment of $1,100. So she's going ahead and paying that much of it. Then she agrees to pay the rest, the balance, at 5% add-on interest for 2 years. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is think about how much what the amount financed is. The amount borrowed. Or the amount financed, right? I need that. Financed or borrowed is the same thing. So I'm going to take that $5,400. She didn't take out a loan for that because she's already paid $1,100. So the amount borrowed is really only going to be $4,300. Okay. All right, now I'm going to work towards getting the monthly payment. So what I'm going to need to know is what's the total amount to be repaid. How much is she going to owe back or at the end of those 2 years? So I could do it by calculating the interest and then adding it back, or I could use this formula, A equals P times 1 plus RT, and plug in and get it using that formula. Let me go off to the right here. So principal is the amount she's borrowing, amount of her loan. Interest rate was 5%, and she's borrowing it for 2 years. So we work that out, and we get $4,730 is the amount she would have to repay. Now look, they didn't ask me for the interest, but you can kind of see that the interest that she would have paid would have been that difference, right? So she's paying back $4,730. She only borrowed $4,300. They didn't ask me for this, but that extra little $430, that's actually the interest, right? I won't circle it or anything because it's not really the answer. I just want you to be aware of that. Okay. Now, the reason I needed the total amount to be repaid is because I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut it into equal payments. I'm going to pay the same thing every month for 2 years. Okay. So I'm going to come in here to get my monthly payment. I'm going to have to remember that 2 years equals 24 months, doesn't it? Okay. So you need the number of months, because what you're going to wind up doing is taking that $4,730 and cutting it into 24 equal payments, and those turn out to be about $197.08 per month. Okay, so that's the monthly payment. Monthly payment. Actually, let me write that over here. Okay, so that's the monthly payment. And that 24 came from taking 2 years times 12. Okay. All right, so I've answered one of the things they wanted. This $197.08 is what each payment would wind up being. Now, the other thing they asked me is to kind of think about the fact that the furniture and appliances really weren't $5,400. They were more than that. Okay. So to get the total cost of the purchase, one thing I could do is I could take that $47.30 and remember that she's already paid $1,100. So she's paying them back $4,730, but hasn't she already paid them $1,100? And so that turns out to be $58.30. $58.30. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then I also could have come up with that, the total cost of the purchase, another way, because couldn't I have taken the $5,400? Okay. I could have taken that $5,400 that it cost and add in this $430 in interest, and notice that that would also turn out to be $5,830, right? So you could either take the original cost and add the interest, or take the total amount to be repaid and add in that down payment that she already paid. So $58.30 would be the second part, the total cost of the purchase. Okay, so let's do one more like that. Okay. So the total purchase price of a new home entertainment system is $14,240. The down payment is $2,900, and the balance is to be financed over 48 months, 6% add-on interest. And again, we want the monthly payment and the total cost of the purchase. Okay. So we need to get the amount that was actually financed. It wasn't that whole entire $14,240. The amount borrowed would actually have been the $14,240 minus the $2,900, the down payment. So that's $11,340. It's not an answer to the question, but I need it to be able to calculate the rest of this. Okay. All right, so then what I could do is either calculate just the interest and add it back to get the total amount repaid, or go ahead and get the total amount to be repaid altogether by using that I keep doing a parenthesis instead of equals P times 1 plus RT. So I could do that. So A would equal the 11,340, 1 plus 0.06. Now here they gave me the time in 48 months, but isn't 48 months equal to 4 years? Because there's 12 months in a year. So I need to multiply by 4 there. All right, so when I do that, I wind up getting $14,061.60. Okay, let me double check that. 11,340 plus 0.06 times 4. Yep. Okay. So that's the total amount to be repaid. All right, let's get the monthly payment. So we want to pay that $14,061.60. We're going to pay that in equal installments. So for the monthly payment, we're going to take the total I owe and divide by however many months the term of our loan is for. So I'm going to divide by 48. So when I do that, I'm going to wind up having to pay $292.95 each month. Okay. And that's one of the questions they wanted, was the monthly payment. Okay. Other thing they wanted was the total cost of the purchase. Total cost of the purchase. Okay. All right, so I have options. One thing I could do is take the total amount I repaid and add to that $2,900 that I paid already as a down payment. So take the $14,061.60 and add the $2,900. So the total would turn out to be $16,000. $16,900. Let me try that again. $16,961.60. Okay, so it was supposed to only be $14,240, but I was taking 4 years to pay it off, and the interest rate was 6%. So I needed to so that turned out to be a really $16,961.60 purchase. So that's the total cost of it, really. Now, if I had calculated the interest, like I could do that, because isn't the $11,340 how much I really financed? I could have subtracted that or have calculated the interest by itself ahead of time. And if I had done that, I would wind up with 27.21.60. That would have been the amount, that extra little amount of interest that I paid. So what I could have done as an alternative to that, the way I first did it, is I could have taken the original cost of the stuff, the entertainment system, and added $27.21.60 to it. If I did that, I'd also wind up with $16,961.60. Okay. All right, and that's really all of the problems that you have to do. I just put this on here for information purposes. We don't really have time to calculate, to do problems related to this. They take a long time, but I wanted you to know about it. So a revolving loan is different than an installment loan. It's open-end credit. So you borrow up to some credit limit, and there's not a fixed number of payments. You keep paying until no balance is left. An additional credit might be extended, okay, as long as you haven't reached that credit limit before you wind up paying it all off. So this is what most department store charge accounts are, or MasterCard or Visa, that type of thing. All right, so with a typical open-end credit account, the limit is established initially, and you can make purchases during the month up to that amount. Then any charges beyond whatever cash you get back or the cash price of the items purchased would be called a finance charge. It's like the interest that you would have owed. So they may include interest, an annual fee, credit insurance coverage, and all of that. Most open-end lenders use a method of calculating finance charges called the average daily balance method. So it looks at the balances on each day during a billing period and comes to what that average was. And then they go and they calculate a finance charge based on your average daily balance. Okay. But we're not actually going to do that.